Hello, all you rockstar realtors. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel today. I am Kelly Andell with eXp Realty, and my goal is to bring you tons of tips, tricks, and tools to help you improve your business as well as your work-life balance. Stay tuned. Guys, today we are going to talk about setting expectations with your clients, and we're talking about buyer clients or seller clients. This is a short and sweet video, so stick with me. I know you're going to get some great tips out of this. When you have a new client, whether it's a buyer or a seller, you always want to have some kind of consultation meeting, whether it's the listing appointment when you go through the comps and you determine a sale price and you're talking about staging and those kind of things, or if it's a buyer client, then you want to have some kind of buyer consultation where you're sitting down with these clients and you're basically setting expectations up front, kind of going through the whole process, explaining the answers to their questions. And so you definitely want to do this with your clients, okay? Not only are you helping to set their expectations, you are also helping to explain to the client your expectations. Mutual relationship, right? And just like in any relationship that you have, if you want it to succeed, you have to have really good communication, and the expectations need to be set up front so that each side of the relationship knows what they're expected to do and can be held accountable to that, right? So this is the biggest purchase or sale that a client will ever have probably in their life. So it's a big deal, and take it seriously and be the professional that they need you to be. Having that conversation with them, not only does it create a sense of professionalism in their perception of you, but it also really helps take a large burden off of the client that you might not even realize is there. So we have these meetings with these clients, and we think, it's basically going to benefit us because they're going to understand everything, right? Well, it's also for you to understand the client, what they need, what their expectations are, and to come to some agreements on some aspects of what's going to happen throughout the process, right? Want to do this in the very beginning when you first start working with a client, because if you don't, sometimes the process can move so fast, especially this is 2021 and the market is absolutely crazy right now, but sometimes the process can move so fast that you don't have time to kind of sit down with them and go through these things, and then it leads to more stress, frustration for everyone. So find the time, go sit down and have a coffee, go have lunch, something like that, and just take a little bit of time to have that conversation with your clients. They also feel like they have someone on their side when you have these meetings with your clients, buyer meeting, listing appointment, and you're sitting and kind of setting all of this up. Then they feel like, okay, this person is really here to help me. They're on my side. I can tell that they're going to be a great asset to me as I'm trying to navigate the biggest purchase or sale of my life, right? Have a big impact, and it's going to be really meaningful to them. So some of the items, let's talk specifics. So if you're taking notes, then now's a great time to take notes. What are some of these items that we need to discuss when we have these consultations with our clients? So first thing that I would say is you want to make sure that you understand when they're available and they understand when you're available. Sometimes when we're busy realtors, our time is really stretched thin, right? So you need to make sure up front that you understand, like, these clients need me in the evenings, these clients need me in the morning. You have to be able to figure out how to fit everybody into your schedule, right? And know when is good for them, and they need to know when is good for you. So if you have a set schedule and you're checking emails from 8 to 10 in the morning, you're making phone calls from 10 to 12, then make sure that they know that you're available in that 10 to 12 slot, or in the evenings. And then also make sure that you tell your clients that if you call me and I don't answer, I will return your call. So just leave me a message and I will definitely get back to you. You want to address your cutoff time. So a lot of times clients, they'll think about things at night, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and they'll start texting you. Well, if you text back, by texting back that night, you are setting the expectation that that's okay, that they can expect that you're going to be available any time of the day or night. So if you don't want that to happen, then you need to set that expectation up front with them during that meeting and say, look, I work until 7 p.m. I'm available until 7 p.m. or 7:30 or whatever your number is. You tell them, this is what time my cutoff is in the evenings. I usually don't check my text messages or voicemails until the next morning, but if you call me that night and I can't get to you, then I will definitely get back to you the next morning. So you set that expectation up front, and then they're not caught off guard and like mad at you because you didn't reply back at 10 o'clock at night when they texted you. So also Sundays, you want to address Sundays. A lot of people don't work on Sunday, or they try not to work on Sunday. So I'm one of those people that I try not to work on Sunday. It doesn't always work out that way, just because, it depends on the specifics of the situation. If you don't work on Sundays, make sure you tell them up front, I'm not normally available on Sundays. If it's a super hot emergency, then yes, or if we're on a cutoff date, then Sunday, I'll definitely do whatever I need to do. But Sundays are normally for family, and I try not to work on Sundays. And people will respect that. You just have to set that expectation up front. Another thing that you want to communicate with them is, how do they like to be communicated with? Do they like text messages? Do they prefer email? Do they want a phone call? A lot of, I would say the generation above me, a lot of them prefer a phone call. They're not great with phones. So you need to know what kind of communication they want, so that you can do that for them, right? As a service to your client. Another item that you want to do during this consultation is go through, whether it's a buyer or a seller, go through the entire selling process step by step with them, right? Think about the contract. If we should all have the contract pretty much memorized by now in our heads, right? And if you're a new agent and you don't have it memorized, don't worry, because you will. But kind of go through the contract, like think about it step by step, and explain that process to them. Okay, first we're going to put your house on the market, and kind of go through that part, right? What that means. Then clients are going to start coming to see the house. They're going to schedule with you. You're going to get a text message or a phone call to approve the showing. Kind of what that whole process looks like. And then what's going to happen after you accept an offer. And if you're a buyer client, then they're going to want to know any money that they have to come out of pocket with, whether it's inspections, earnest money, option fee or inspection fee, any of that money that they're going to have to come out of pocket with up front. You want to make sure that you have a clear understanding, that everybody understands what the out-of-pocket expenses are going to be. Because if you don't set that expectation up front, and then you write a contract and they sign it really fast because you have to get it in, and then they need $5,000 in earnest money that they didn't know they had to spend up front, then they're going to be mad at you because you didn't tell them, right? So up front, when you start working with a client, make sure you go through the whole buying or selling process with them step by step. Some other items like, do you want me to set up inspections for you once we get a contract accepted? Or do you have an inspector that you want to use? Another item that you want to make sure that you go through with them is explain to them the difference between the questions that they need to be asking you and the questions that they need to be asking the lender. Because a lot of times our clients think that we are the go-to for everything, right? Well, we are not lenders, and we are not bankers, and we are not CPAs or lawyers. So we don't give advice on loans, on anything that has to do with taxes, or any kind of legal advice, anything like that. So you have to kind of set that expectation up front of, if it's a financial question that's related to your loan, then please make sure that you call the lender and ask the lender those questions, right? Because I'm the person who is in charge of finding and helping you navigate through the sale or purchase process, but I cannot give you lending advice or legal advice or financial tax advice. So make sure you tell them that. Make sure you set that expectation up front. When a seller is selling a house, there's a lot of documents required. So at the time when you meet with them, you might want to go through and just explain to them, kind of the gist of all of the documents that you're going to be sending for them to review, all of the disclosures that they're going to need to fill out, and the timing that you're going to need that back in, right? So If you're under the gun, you're getting your listing done and it has to be set to active, in 2 days, then you want to make sure that they know, like, I'm sending you this tonight. You have to get it back to me tomorrow so that I can have it for the listing when we go live on Friday or whatever day. You also want to go through the plan for preparing your seller's home to list on the market, right? So at the time when you're doing the listing appointment, or maybe you come back, you need to have the expectation up front of any of the items that they need to take care of before they list their house. You might need some paint, you might need some fixtures changed, you might need pressure wash, or whatever the situation is. Make sure that you have that expectation set up front of when they need to have all of those items done by, so that you can have the photographer come in and take pictures, right? And I say photographer because we are not taking pictures on the cell phone. So if you're doing that, no. Apple phones are really good, but they're not as good as a professional photographer. And a professional photographer is, inexpensive enough where we should all be able to do that. Staging, you want to talk about staging. So if your client is planning on staging, or if you're planning on staging the house, I could have a whole video on what I think as a realtor we should be doing for staging, but maybe another time. Make sure you have that conversation up front and, kind of go through room by room. I go room by room. So I can tell my clients, like, I want you to take all of this stuff out. I want you to get all of this out. I want you to get a solid bedspread. We don't want some wild, crazy colors. Whatever those expectations are, like, go through and have that conversation with them up front, so that when picture time comes, you're not showing up 20 minutes ahead of time and freaking out because the house is not ready. So you also, for your seller clients, you want to make sure that you're having that honest conversation about what you expect their house to sell for. So especially right now in 2021, sellers are like going crazy, and they just want to sell their house for whatever they want. And a lot of times they're getting it, but anyways, you need to have that honest conversation with them and set the expectation, like, okay, we can list here, but this is really, based on the comps, this is what I'm legitimately thinking that your house is going to sell for. That way, if it doesn't sell for what they're expecting, then it's not your fault. You've already set the expectation. Remember, we had that conversation. I told you this was, the number, this was the price range I was thinking, right? I hope you guys got some great tips there. I know you did. That was a lot of information to pack into a little bit of time, but setting those expectations with your clients up front will make a drastic difference in the feeling, the relationship that you have between you and your clients. It really takes the pressure off of you. It takes the pressure off of them. And it helps everybody to feel like, okay, we're on the same team, we're walking down the same path, and we're all getting to closing. So that's the goal, right? So hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.